And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to YSN. DJ Yokley, and we are joined by, a legend of Cleveland history. One of the greatest pitchers, I think, in Cleveland history, Mr. Len Barker. Sir, thank you so much for being part of this. We're so honored, and what a pleasure it is to interview you. Thanks for stopping by.
Oh, I enjoyed this. This is a lot of fun, and seeing all the people and talking to them about the game. They all come up and say, "You're tired of talking?" I said, "No, why would I be tired about it? It's something that was great in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Not just for me, but for the whole city and people. And I love this. I've been here 27 years now. I live in Chardon.
Yeah.
And I just love this Ohio. I love the change of seasons. And I live in Chardon, so I love the snow. Everybody they think I'm freaking crazy for saying that, but I love the snow.
You mentioned Chardon. That's we do local sports streaming, and you have that local tie-in with Chardon. Your son now on to the next level. We saw him a couple times on YSN. State championship in baseball and football, you said?
Yeah, so, one son had a state championship in football and baseball, and my other son had one in football.
Incredible. Talk to me about why local sports, high school sports, so important to both the future, obviously, of life, whether you make it to the pros like you or you're just trying to learn some of the lessons that sports have to give.
Well, sports is great. I mean, I made I didn't make them, but I want them to play every sport, football, basketball, baseball, because I think that makes you a better athlete. And you don't know when you're that young which one that you're really going to excel at, and it makes you a better person. And they enjoyed baseball after a while. That's what they went to college for. But the kids that because I coached all the way up from T-ball all the way up through.
Really?
Yeah, till they were 14, and I let them go. But I coached a lot of kids, and I try to instill them, what it takes to be to the next level of college. Because you're in high school, you have great grades, and then you play sports, you can get a free scholarship, and your parents don't have to pay them if you concentrate on what you're doing. Because, it's like 3% that get athletic scholarships to go to college. And then the pros are 1% out of the whole world.
Yeah.
So it's tough. But if you can get that free education, then you have that. And then you can play, hopefully you're lucky enough to play professional sports.
All right, I got to ask, since you brought it up, being a coach all the way up, I don't have the luxury of saying that I played professional baseball. I said I played D3 baseball, so I can get my son to a certain point. But the fans, the parents, all that stuff, did you ever have the run-ins and you're finally like, listen, I played pro ball, I know what I'm talking about, or with umpires or anything like that?
No, when I had the team, got them ready, and I had a little parents meeting. I said, I don't want to hear anything from any of you. The only thing I can say is I'll say hi to you and all that. Do not question us. We know a lot more than what you're doing. Some of them don't even know what an infield fly is.
Boy.
I hear parents screaming and why aren't they running? Yeah. So I made that, and same thing in college. When I coached college, I told my players, I said, if any of your parents call me or one of your coaches, you have a 6 a.m. the next morning for an hour and a half of constant running.
Oh, boy.
So it only took one time when it happened to them, 6 a.m. they're out there running, and then they call their parents and never got any more calls.
Now, you obviously lived it, and we'll get to your career here in a little bit, but it's interesting takes because I think you've lived on kind of both sides of the coin here. When you see all these parents saying, my kid has to go D1 or bust or whatever it may be, when you hear that stuff, because – they do very well one season, and they put in the time in the cage or the time in the pitching lessons. When you hear it, their kid's going to go D1, and they were talked to at the age of 12 and stuff like that. What goes through your mind? I mean, what advice do you give to people that are like, my kid goes D1 or nothing?
First of all, they're freaking nuts. They don't know what they're talking about.
Okay.
You don't have to go to D1. I coached two guys in college, D2.
Yeah.
Tanner Scott. He pitched for me. He pitches for the Los Angeles Dodgers now.
Yeah.
And I have another guy that Ben Ross got drafted in the 5th round by the Minnesota Twins, and he's in Double-A right now. So, and I have other guys that play D3, like my son is at Virginia.
Yeah.
Well, he just graduated, but they have 2 to 3 guys that they bring in from D3 and playing at Virginia who made it to the World Series in 3 out of the last 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter where you play. If you excel at that level, other teams, especially with the portal nowadays, kids can go from D3 to D1, and nowadays they're getting big money to go there and play and to get a free education. How can you beat that?
That's. Do you wish you had that when you were way back when?
Well, I got drafted out of high school.
But if the situation, if the climate was what it was today, and you had an opportunity for NIL, would you have maybe thought about it?
I would have went to pro ball.
Pro ball?
That was my dream.
Okay.
To play professional baseball, and I signed when I was 17, so my mom had to sign the contract with me.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it was back in 1973. I was the first pick in the third round by the Texas Rangers. So it was something that's what I wanted to do. I had chances. I had Bobby Bowden. You remember him?
Florida State.
I played football in high school too, and we were state champs. He came and recruited me and wanted me to go to the Temple game. And I said, Coach, I'm not going to watch the game. And he said, son, do you know who I am? I said, you're Coach Bowden, and I'm playing baseball.
I love it. All right, let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about. I'm sure you've been asked 900 million times already. The perfect game, 1981. When did you know something was happening in Cleveland Stadium?
In the seventh, after the seventh inning, I knew because I'd had games where it progressed and had a no-hitter going certain. After the seventh inning, the eighth and ninth inning are critical, but I knew that the way I was pitching and the way they were swinging at my breaking ball that night, that I had an excellent chance to get it done.
Now, anybody talk to you, or is it like we see nowadays where it's the pitcher and everybody else is up?
Well, almost all the team were down in one corner, and they were all piled up. But Rick Manning and Toby Harris said something to me in the eighth inning, said, we know you can get it, and we're behind you.
That's incredible.
So that they were the only two. Even the manager, Dave Garcia, he was down there in the pile with the guys. So it was a lot of fun. I wasn't a superstitious guy anyway, so it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Because I was concentrating on getting the hitters out.
But a mindset like that, I mean, pitching coaches tell you all the time you got to keep the same mindset from the first inning to wherever you're out. Did you have to remind yourself, I got to just keep out and go and do what I'm doing?
Well, I did until the ninth inning. I walked out there, I picked the ball up, and I dropped it, and I almost fell on my face. So I was a little bit nervous,
Johnny Cueto.
I'm not going to lie about that. I was nervous in the ninth inning, but once I started throwing my warm-up pitches, I was fine.
That's incredible. So not many pitchers can say that they threw just 27 batters in a full game. What was your mindset? Like you said, you mentioned, going to the ninth inning, but like those last three outs, how special were they? And were you counting down in your mind, okay, 25, 26, and 27?
No, I wasn't counting down. I was concentrating on each hitter that came to at bat. And that's the way. I used to be a thrower, because one game in Boston when I pitched there, I hit the bottom of the press box on a wild pitch. I let it go.
You were Ricky Vaughn before Ricky Vaughn.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Then I learned how to pitch.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of work pitching-wise. I mean, you got to focus, concentrate on exactly what you're doing. You see, like, guys I think of it are like Maddox, who can paint.
Greg Maddox, yeah.
And I threw pretty hard, but I couldn't paint as good as him, but I could get it pretty close to where I wanted it. If I instead of throwing 97 or 98, I dropped it down to 96 and hit my spots.
Yeah.
So pitching, guys are throwers, and then they become pitchers, and that's what it is with the game. You got to think in your mind, you got a runner on first, and you got a left-handed hitter up. Say, I'm going to be pitching him out here, low, so he hits a ground ball to shortstop and you get a double play. I mean, that's what you got to be thinking out there. But you can't overanalyze everything.
Right.
By that time, especially with the pitch clock now, you'd be getting the ball. And I was a quick worker, so the pitch clock wouldn't have bothered me.
I was a catcher. How much trust did you have in your catchers along the way?
100%. Catchers and the pitchers, you should be as one. And Hassey called a game. I mean, back then, the catchers all called the games.
Yeah.
And you had to trust him, and that's what happened. I think in that game, I might have shook him off once or twice in a 9-inning game, so that's pretty good. And Hassey was a pretty good catcher. He caught 2 perfect games. He caught mine and Dennis Martinez. So
oh wow!
I knew he had to have something right up into mine, except when he was off the field.
There's a loose cannon, of course. Let's talk about ability from that standpoint. Coaches nowadays, they say your best ability is your availability and being able to be in a roster, in a lineup, whatever day it is. For you, what was your ability that you leaned on that maybe people didn't know other than your arm?
Well, the way I went about the game,
okay,
the way I concentrated on the game. I used to go out, if I was pitching that day, I'd go out and watch the other team take BP, because you could learn a lot watching guys hit and how they're swinging in BP, because if you got a guy that's in a kind of a little bit of slump and the BP pitcher's jamming them every time, then when I'm out there, I'm going to be jamming them. So you just pay attention to their swings, and I did that a lot because I learned when I came up with Texas, I had Fergie Jenkins, a Hall of Famer, Gaylord Perry, a Hall of Famer, and Bert Bylevin, 3 Hall of Famers on the team that were starting pitchers. So I learned from them how to approach the game and do it the right way.
Every pitcher seemingly has some of the best stories in the game of baseball. What are some of your favorite stories from your playing days?
Some of them I can't tell on the radio here. One of the games, probably with Morgana coming out in the All-Star game, she came out and gave me a hug, and it was kind of, you're in the middle of an All-Star game with 75,000 people out there, and she comes out, and, so it kind of disrupted me a little bit there, but we had a lot of stories. Joe Charbonneau, I played with him. We were in Toronto one time, and I'm sitting on the bench. It was a day game. He comes walking out, and he had purple hair. You remember when the guy from Detroit, he was a basketball player. Rodman. He had started doing that, but Joe was the first guy in professional sports to do that.
Oh, my gosh.
I laughed so hard, I don't want to tell you what I did, but I had to go change my drawers. But it was funny. We had a lot of guys that liked to have fun and played pranks on guys just to keep the clubhouse loose, and that helped a lot of guys. Some guys couldn't handle it, but we did it to them anyway.
Cleveland, an unbelievable sports town. We saw what happens when they get a winner in 2016 with the Cavs. What do you think would happen if the Cleveland baseball team, Guardians, Indians, whatever you want to call them, ended up winning a World Series?
I think the town would go nuts. They would, because it's been so long. 54?
Yeah.
I think they would go nuts. They've been close a couple times, but the town would celebrate for, I would think, days and days and days. It could happen, but we'll see what happens. They need a little bit more than what they got.
Last question for you. I mean, nowadays, what keeps you happy? What keeps you motivated? What keeps you getting up every day?
Well, I still watch my sons play college baseball.
Incredible.
I was just out in Wisconsin watching one son play in the Northwoods League. He has a chance to get drafted and go on from there. And then I watched my other son play at Malone University down in Canton. So it's a lot of fun being able to sit in the stands and not – because I was coaching for 15 years, so – when he was playing, I couldn't go watch his games.
Yeah.
I could look at it later on a recording, but that was it. Now I can go watch them, and it's a lot of fun. I went to World Series, the Omaha last year. That was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Drove out there, me and my wife and my other son. We went out and watched them out there in the World Series. And so, I mean, those are things you don't miss. I actually played in Omaha. The Royals had a AAA team at the old stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we played in that stadium when we played AAA games. That's where they held the College World Series.
That's incredible. Mr. Barker, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You're the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Back after this.